Welcome back to the deep dive. Usually when we open up a source file for this show, we pretty much know what we're getting into.
Right.
You know, if it's a medical journal, we're talking health,
Yeah.
quarterly report, finance. But today, I opened a file and I honestly thought my computer had glitched. Like it merged two completely different documents.
It is definitely one of the more eclectic combinations we've seen.
Eclectic is a very polite word for it.
Yeah.
We are looking at a Japanese lesson of the day, specifically from April 13, 2025.
Okay.
But this isn't your standard how to ask for the train station kind of lesson. The title is Unity Through Conflict, the Art of Simultaneous Action.
Which, I mean, that sounds like a book on guerrilla warfare or
What?
maybe a business textbook from the 80s.
Exactly. But this source, it explains this whole concept using magic, the gathering.
The trading card game.
Yes. Wizards, spells, monsters, the whole thing. So our mission today is to unpack this absolute collision of worlds. We're going to look at how a Japanese grammar point gets explained through fighting Eldrazi titans and pooling mana. It is so geeky, it's surprisingly philosophical, and I am just fascinated by it.
What I find so compelling here is the teaching method itself, the pedagogy. You're taking something abstract, like grammar, and you're mapping it onto a system that's all about strict rules and resource management, which is exactly what a card game is. It's a really clever cognitive hook.
It really is. So, okay, before we get to the giant monsters, let's ground this in the actual subject. What's the core Japanese concept here?
So the focus is on the grammar point nagara. That's N-A-G-A-R-A.
Naga.
In Japanese, it's a suffix, and it connects two verbs.
And the text defines it as while doing something.
Right, while. But you have to be careful with a direct translation like that. While in English can be a little vague, you know? It can mean whereas or just a period of time. Nagara is more specific. It's about a specific type of simultaneous action. It's really the glue that holds two actions together in the very same moment.
Okay, so the source gives us a pretty standard textbook example to start with. Ongaku o kikinagara, Nihongo o benkyū shimasu.
Which translates to, I study Japanese while listening to music.
Right. So on the surface, that's just multitasking.
Right.
And I have to play devil's advocate here for a second because we've done deep dives on productivity before where all the experts just scream, multitasking is a myth. It destroys your focus.
That is the prevailing wisdom, yeah. The idea is that you're context switching really fast, which just tanks your performance.
Exactly.
But this source is arguing for something a little different. It's not talking about doing two really high-focused tasks at once, like writing an email while doing your taxes.
The text uses this phrase I love, seamlessly enhancing both.
Exactly. This is about flow. Think about the example. Listening to music while studying. The music isn't really fighting the studying for attention.
Right.
It's more of a background process. It's providing a rhythm or maybe an emotional state that actually supports the main task.
So Nagara isn't just A and B are happening. It's more like A helps B happen.
In many cases, yes. The action that's attached to Nagara, the listening, it's secondary. It's like the support beam.
Okay.
The main verb, the studying. That's the roof. You need that support to hold the roof up.
I like that visual. And speaking of visuals, this is where the source takes a very hard left turn into nerd culture.
It really does.
To explain this idea of supportive action, it paints this very specific, very dramatic scenario for magic, the gathering.
It creates a narrative metaphor, a story.
It sets the scene. It says, you and your fellow players are facing a looming Eldrazi titan. Now, for anyone listening who hasn't, spent their weekends in a card shop, we should probably explain what an Eldrazi is.
Oh, yeah. In the game's lore, the Eldrazi are these ancient, almost Lovecraftian cosmic horrors. They're just these massive, colorless, world-eating monsters.
They don't just beat you.
No, they annihilate the board. They wipe everything out.
So, metaphorically, the Eldrazi is the big hard thing. The final exam, the huge project, the language fluency barrier.
It's that overwhelming obstacle that makes you just want to quit. And the source adds another layer. It says, you're all tapped out.
Okay, explain tapped out for the non-gamers.
In Magic, your resources are your land cards. You use them to generate magical energy.
Right.
And to use a land, you physically turn it sideways. You tap it. Once it's tapped, it's used up for that turn.
So if you're tapped out, you're empty. You've got nothing. 0 resources left.
You're completely defenseless.
That is such a visceral way to describe burnout. Staring at a textbook, the Eldrazi is looming over you, and you have no mana left. You just feel like you can't cast another spell.
And this is where the lesson pivots. If you try to fight that Titan alone in that state, you lose. game over. You don't have the resources. But Aiwei, the source, introduces a specific card mechanic. Join forces.
And we get this incredible line of Japanese dialogue. Tomo ni tatako shikanai. It means we have no choice but to fight together. It's so dramatic. We have no choice. But then the source describes the outcome. It says, mana pools combine. The board stabilizes. Unity prevails.
The board stabilizes. That's such a key phrase. It's not that you instantly win, but you stop losing. You get control back.
So let's bring this all the way back to the person studying Japanese. They're alone in their room. Their brain is fried. They're tapped out. How do they join forces? Who are they joining with?
This is the brilliance of the metaphor. You aren't necessarily joining forces with another person.
Oh.
You are joining forces with another activity.
That's interesting.
I mean, think about the resource management part of it. You're tapped out of mental mana, right? Your brain can't memorize another kanji. But are you tapped out of physical mana?
Probably not. You've just been sitting in a chair.
Exactly. You have a whole separate pool of physical energy. Or maybe you have auditory mana just sitting there. By using nagara, by combining studying with walking or studying with music, you are tapping a totally different resource pool to help pay for the spell.
You're bringing in a fresh player to the table.
Precisely. You're accessing energy that was just sitting there, unused. The walking supports the thinking. The music supports the focus. That is unity through conflict.
That completely reframes how I think about attention. I usually see it as this single pie chart.
Yeah.
If I give 20% to walking, then I must be losing 20% of my thinking power.
That's the old model. But cognitive science is suggesting we have different channels: visual, auditory, kinetic. If you totally overload the visual channel by just staring at a screen, you burn out. But if you engage the kinetic channel, walking, doodling, whatever, it can actually reduce the cognitive load on the visual channel. It keeps the whole system running smoothly.
It's like a hybrid car engine. When the gas engine is tired, the electric motor kicks in to keep the momentum going.
That's a perfect analogy. The art of simultaneous action isn't about distraction. It's about smart energy management.
I love that this lesson dresses that idea up in wizard robes. It makes it so much more memorable. And the source really doubles down on this whole battle for knowledge theme with its vocabulary list.
Oh, the vocabulary selection is fascinating. It reads like a briefing from a general before a battle.
Right. Let's go through the list. We have Kiryoku.
Cooperation.
Then Dume.
That's alliance.
Then we've got the bad guy. Keki.
Amoni.
Together or with.
And finally, tatakao.
To fight.
I mean, this is a language lesson. Why are we talking about enemies and alliances? Why not just words like classmates and homework?
Because the words you use shape your reality. If you frame your study session as doing homework, it's a chore. It's boring. But if you frame the difficulty of the language as the techie, the enemy, and your study habits as you're doing your alliance, suddenly there are stakes.
It externalizes the problem.
Exactly. It's not that you're stupid for not getting the grammar. It's that the enemy is strong today. It's an Eldrazi titan. So what do? You don't quit. You rally your alliance. That actually protects your ego. That's really healthy. It stops that self-blame spiral.
It also gamifies the grit you need to learn something hard. You're fighting a campaign, not just memorizing a list.
Speaking of rallying the alliance, the source gives us a useful phrase. It's shonichikara, or awasamashu. Let's join our strengths together.
It sounds like something an anime hero screams right before the commercial break.
It totally does. Chikara is power or strength. Awasamashu is about combining or matching. So let's combine our power.
The source has this funny little note on how to use it. It says, use this when rallying allies, whether on the battlefield or while studying Japanese with a partner.
I appreciate the humor there. But really, imagine actually saying that to a study partner. You sit down at a cafe, and instead of saying, ready to start, you just look them in the eye and say, let's join our strengths.
It changes the whole vibe immediately. It creates a magic circle, a shared, playful reality. Now you're in it together. You're a team. It makes the vulnerability of learning a new language a little less scary because you've turned it into a co-op game.
It's the difference between studying and embarking on a quest.
And that shift in attitude, that resource of attitude, is often the difference between people who get fluent and people who quit after 3 weeks.
Okay, so we've got the grammar, the metaphor, the war room vocab. Now the source brings it all home with the practical application. The today's mission.
Write one sentence using nagara.
Simple enough. But they don't just leave you hanging. They give an example answer that ties everything we've talked about, the grammar, the energy management, together perfectly. The example is, aruki nagara, tango o renshu shimasu.
I practice vocabulary while walking.
Walking and memorizing. This brings us right back to that kinetic channel we mentioned.
It's a classic combination for a reason. Philosophers have been walking and thinking for thousands of years. The peripatetic school in ancient Greece literally means walking about.
So why is that specific combo walking and thinking so powerful?
Well, physiologically, walking increases blood flow, gets more oxygen to the brain, it wakes you up. But structurally, walking provides a rhythm. Language is rhythmic.
No, that's interesting.
If you can sync the cadence of your steps with the cadence of the words you're learning, it acts like a mnemonic device.
So your feet are literally helping your brain remember.
You are casting join forces. Your legs are paying the mana cost that your fried brain can't afford on its own.
That is the unity through conflict. The physical effort isn't fighting the mental effort, it's fueling it.
The source calls this synchronizing growth through balance. It implies we aren't meant to be these stagnant brain-in-a-jar learners. We learn better when our whole body is engaged.
It really challenged the way I structure my day, honestly. I'm a big compartmentalizer. I have work mode where I sit in silence, and then gym mode where I turn my brain off.
Most of us are. We treat our day like a bento box, right? Everything in its own little separate square.
Yeah.
This lesson suggests we should treat it more like a stew. Or a combo deck in Magic.
Right. You look at your hand and say, okay, I have this card doing the laundry and this card listening to a podcast. Alone, they're kind of boring, but if I play them together, combo.
You stabilize the board, you get the laundry done, and you learn something, and neither one feels like a total chore.
Because that secondary action occupies the part of your brain that gets bored and fidgety, so the focus energy can do its work.
It's actually really optimistic, isn't it? For a lesson that's all about monsters and enemies.
It is. The underlying message is that unity prevails. It's telling the learner that no matter how overwhelmed you feel, you're not actually out of resources. You just haven't found the right combination yet.
You aren't tapped out. You just have a land card in your hand you forgot you could play.
Exactly. And that brings me back to that word tamoni. Together. The lesson itself implies that nothing great is done in isolation. Even a sentence structure relies on two verbs working together.
The grammar itself is a lesson in cooperation. It is. And if you think about the Eldrazi, the difficulty of the language itself, do you ever really truly defeat it?
That's a good question. Does the game ever actually end?
In a game of Magic, sure, it ends. But in learning, not really. There's always more vocabulary. There's always a bigger Titan on the horizon.
So what's the point?
The point isn't to kill the monster once and for all. The point is to get better at casting join forces, to build a routine, an alliance of habits that can handle whatever Titan shows up next.
So the art of simultaneous action is a survival strategy for the long haul.
It's a sustainability strategy. It's how you keep playing the game without burning out.
This has been such a cool journey. From what I thought was just a PDF about verbs, we've gone to grammar, to game theory, to cognitive science.
It really validates that joy of discovery we talk about. You can find these deep truths in the strangest places if you're willing to take the metaphor seriously.
And I don't think I'll ever forget Nagara now. Every time I say while, I'm going to see that giant tentacled monster and check my mana pool.
See, that's the power of flavor in learning. Sticky metaphors make for sticky knowledge.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you, the listener, with a thought, a challenge, really, that comes right from this source's mission.
We talked about writing a sentence, but let's take it off the page. Let's put it into your actual day.
Right. Look at your routine for tomorrow. Identify that one moment where you always feel tapped out, that 3 p.m. slump, or the dread before a workout, or just the boredom of doing dishes.
That's your Eldrazi Titan. That's the moment the board starts to crumble.
Now ask yourself, what can I join forces with here? What's the secondary action? The music, the walk, the audiobook, the sketching, that can be your ally in that moment.
Find your nagara. Find the two things that feel like they're in conflict, but when you put them together, actually create balance.
Create your alliance. Stabilize your board. Because, as we learned today,
we have no choice but to fight together.
And on that note, we'll sign off just like the source material does. It ends with a little emoji of crossed swords and a book.
A perfect summary of the battle for knowledge.
And the phrase, Mada Ashitane.
See you tomorrow.
Thanks for listening. Keep diving deep.